Picture this. One day, the man you poured your soul into, the one you trusted with your dreams, your fears, your everything, just vanishes. No warning, no explanation, no closure. Just gone. Like you were a footnote in his story, a passing cloud he didn't bother to notice as it drifted away. The door shuts, the phone goes silent, and you're left standing in the wreckage, heart pounding, mind racing, wondering what you did wrong. Was it something you said? Something you didn't say? Did you not matter at all? That moment, it's a punch to the gut, a rocket exploding mid-flight, a mission you thought was on track, suddenly spiraling into the abyss. I know that feeling. Not from love, maybe, but from failure. From watching my first SpaceX rocket's years of work, blood, sweat, and dreams crash and burn in front of the world. From hearing the skeptics laugh, the critics sneer, and the doubters say, "Told you so." But here's the truth, the raw, unfiltered truth. His exit isn't your defeat, it's your launchpad. That pain, that gut-wrenching, soul-crushing moment when he walked away like you didn't matter, it's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of something bigger, something bolder, something that will make the universe sit up and take notice. Let's get real for a second. You're standing there, replaying every conversation, every glance, every moment you thought meant something. You're searching for the glitch, the flaw, the reason why he could just disappear like you were nothing more than a speck in his rearview mirror. I've been there not with a broken heart, but with a broken dream. Back in 2008, SpaceX was on the brink. 3 launches, 3 failures. Each one felt like a piece of me disintegrating. I'd poured everything into those rockets, every dollar, every sleepless night, every ounce of belief that we could defy gravity and reach the stars. And when they exploded, one after another, it wasn't just metal and fire raining down. It was hope. It was pride. It was the fear that maybe I wasn't enough. Sound familiar? That moment when you realize the person you loved, the one you thought saw you, just walked away. It's not just a breakup, it's a betrayal. Not just of you, but of the version of yourself you thought was enough. But here's the thing about betrayals, about explosions, about moments that feel like the end. They're not, they're data, they're feedback, they're the universe screaming at you to wake up, to recalibrate, to aim higher. When Falcon 1 crashed for the 3rd time, I didn't sit in the control room crying over the wreckage. I didn't beg the laws of physics to give me a second chance. I studied the failure. I dissected every bolt, every wire, every line of code, and I rebuilt stronger, smarter, unbreakable. That's what you're going to do right now. That pain in your chest, that ache that keeps you up at night, that voice whispering that you weren't enough, it's not your enemy. It's your engineer. It's telling you something needs to change, not in him, not in what you could have said or done differently, in you, in your standards, in your vision, in the way you see yourself. Let's talk about him for a minute. The man who left like you didn't matter. Maybe he was charming, maybe he was kind, maybe he made you feel like you were the center of his universe until he didn't. Maybe he promised forever, or maybe he never promised anything at all, but you built a world around him anyway, and then poof, gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just a void where his presence used to be. You're tempted to call him a good man, to justify his silence, to tell yourself he didn't mean it, that he's just going through something. Stop. A good man doesn't leave you questioning your worth. A good man doesn't vanish like a coward, leaving you to pick up the pieces of a puzzle he didn't bother to solve. But this isn't about labeling him good or bad. This isn't about him at all. This is about you, about what you do next, about whether you let his absence define you or whether you use it to redefine yourself. I've seen what happens when you let failure or heartbreak take the wheel. It's tempting to spiral, to drown in the what ifs, to scroll through old texts or stalk his social media, hoping for a clue, a sign, a reason. I could have done that after SpaceX's failures. I could have sat in a corner, replaying every mistake, begging the world to believe in me again. But that's not how you build rockets. That's not how you colonize Mars. And that's not how you rebuild yourself. You don't beg for validation. You don't chase someone who's already checked out. You don't try to fix a mission that's already crashed. You analyze the data, you learn, and you launch again. Better, bolder, with a fire in your belly that no one can extinguish. Here's the hard truth. His leaving wasn't about you. It was about him. His fears, his limits, his inability to see the galaxy of potential standing right in front of him. But you're staying stuck? That's on you. Every moment you spend wondering why he left, every tear you shed trying to decode his silence, is a moment you're not building your future. I didn't get to Mars by crying over exploded rockets. I got there by refusing to let failure have the last word. and you're not going to become the woman you're meant to be by chasing a man who couldn't see your worth. You're going to do it by refusing to let his absence have the last word. So, what's the mission now? It's not about getting him back. It's not about proving you're enough. It's about realizing you are always enough more than enough. You're a force, a supernova, a woman capable of building empires, chasing dreams, and rewriting the rules of what's possible. His exit didn't dim your light, it gave you the space to shine brighter. Think of it like this: when a rocket fails, it doesn't mean the mission's over, it means you've got new data to work with. His departure is your data. It's showing you what you don't want, who you won't settle for, and what you're capable of when you stop holding yourself back. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. When Tesla was bleeding cash in 2008, when we were weeks away from bankruptcy, I didn't sleep, I didn't eat. I felt the weight of the world, my team, my investors, my dreams crushing me. But I kept going. I bet everything on the mission because I knew the alternative was worse: giving up. You're at that crossroads now. You can let his absence crush you, or you can let it fuel you. You can sit in the wreckage, or you can start building a new rocket. One that's stronger, faster, designed to go farther than you ever imagined. This is your moment to decide. Are you going to be the woman who chases a ghost, or the woman who chases the stars? Let me tell you something about pain. It's not here to destroy you, it's here to forge you. Every great thing I've built, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, came from moments of bone-deep failure. Every time I got knocked down, I got back up with a better plan, a sharper focus, a fiercer resolve. That's what you're going to do. You're going to take this pain, this betrayal, this moment that feels like the end, and you're going to use it as rocket fuel. You're going to build a life so big, so bold, so unapologetically yours that his absence becomes a distant memory, a blip on the radar of your incredible journey. So, can you still call him a good man? Maybe, but that's not the question that matters. The real question is, can you call yourself a great woman? Can you take this moment, this pain, this silence, and turn it into the launch of something extraordinary? I know you can, because you're not just a woman who was left behind. You're a woman who's about to take off. You're not a footnote in his story, you're the author of your own, and this is just the first chapter. His silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a force, a void that pulls at your thoughts like a black hole. It's the unanswered texts, the unreturned calls, the sudden emptiness where his voice used to be. You lie awake at night, replaying that last moment, the way his eyes avoided yours, the way his tone shifted, the way he walked away without looking back. It's maddening, isn't it? That quiet, that lack of explanation, it's louder than any argument you ever had. It makes you question everything. Was it real? Did you imagine the connection? Why does his absence feel like it's rewriting your reality? I get it. Not from love, but from the silence of skeptics, the hush of a world that stopped believing in me when my dreams crashed. When SpaceX's early rockets failed, the critics didn't yell, they went quiet. They didn't argue, they dismissed. And that silence, it was deafening. It made me doubt myself, my vision, my ability to pull off the impossible. But here's the secret: his silence isn't about you, it's about him. And the power it holds over you, you can take it back. You can turn that haunting void into the fuel for your own ascent. Let's break this down like I'd break down a failed launch. His silence is a tactic, whether he knows it or not. In dark psychology, it's called a vacuum, a gap that your mind instinctively tries to fill. You start spinning stories, creating reasons, blaming yourself. Maybe you weren't enough. Maybe you said the wrong thing. Maybe if you'd been more patient, more understanding, he'd still be here. Sound familiar? I've seen this in the business world. When Tesla was on the verge of collapse, the investors didn't scream, they went silent. They stopped returning calls, stopped betting on me. That silence wasn't just rejection, it was a test. Were we going to crumble? Were we going to beg for their faith? Or were we going to build something so undeniable they'd have no choice but to notice? I chose the latter. I didn't chase their approval. I didn't plead for their belief. I worked. I innovated. I proved them wrong by proving myself right. That's what you're going to do with his silence. You're not going to let it haunt you. You're going to let it ignite you. Think about why his absence feels so heavy. It's not just that he's gone, it's that he left you with questions. Questions you're tempted to answer by chasing him, texting him, trying to pull some kind of closure out of the void. But closure doesn't come from him. It never will. When I lost those early rockets, I didn't find answers by begging the universe for a do-over. I found them by digging into the data, by facing the failure head on and asking, what can I learn? What can I build? His silence is your data. It's telling you something critical. He chose to leave. He chose to withhold. And that choice, It's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of his limits. A man who can walk away without a word isn't a villain, but he's not your hero either. He's just a man who couldn't handle the gravity of who you are. And that's okay, because you're about to show the world and yourself what you're capable of when you stop chasing ghosts and start chasing greatness. Let's talk about that urge to fill the silence. You want to text him, don't you? Just one message, something casual, something to see if he's still there, if he still cares. Maybe you're thinking if I could just understand why, I could move on. I've been there in my own way. When Tesla was bleeding cash, I wanted to call every investor, every critic, and explain why they were wrong to doubt me. I wanted to make them see the vision. But here's what I learned. Explaining yourself to someone who's already checked out is like trying to launch a rocket with a broken engine. It's not going anywhere. Every text you send, every call you make, every moment you spend trying to decode his silence, it's fuel you're burning on a mission that's already failed. Save that fuel, redirect it, use it to power something new, something bold, something that's yours. Here's where it gets interesting. His silence isn't just haunting you, it's shifting the power dynamic. In dark psychology, absence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates curiosity. Right now, he expects you to react, he expects you to chase, to beg, to show him he still matters. That's what most people do. They crack under the weight of the unknown. But you're not most people. You're a force, a creator, a woman who's about to rewrite the rules. When you don't chase, when you don't fill his silence with your words, you flip the script. You become the mystery. You become the one he can't predict. I saw this with SpaceX. When we kept going, kept building, kept launching despite the failures, the skeptics started to wonder. They started to question themselves. Maybe Musk's onto something, they thought. Maybe we underestimated him. That's what happens when you refuse to play the game he expects. His silence stops being a weapon and starts being a mirror that reflects his loss, not yours. Let's get practical. How do you stop letting his silence haunt you? First, stop trying to fill it. Don't text. Don't call. Don't check his social media to see if he's moved on. Every time you do, you're giving him real estate in your mind, and you're too valuable for that. Instead, redirect that energy. When I was fighting to keep Tesla alive, I didn't waste time obsessing over the critics who went silent. I obsessed over the mission. I worked 120-hour weeks. I slept in the factory. I poured every ounce of myself into building something that would outlast the doubt. You're going to do the same. Take that urge to reach out and channel it into something that makes you stronger. Hit the gym. Start that business you've been dreaming about. Learn a skill that makes you feel unstoppable. Every time you want to break the silence, break a personal record instead. Make his absence irrelevant by making your presence undeniable. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. His silence is a signal, not just about him, but about you. It's showing you where you've been giving away your power. Maybe you've been too available, too forgiving, too willing to put his needs above your own. I've made that mistake not in love, but in business. Early on, I tried to please everyone, investors, partners, even critics. I thought if I could just explain myself, they'd get it, but they didn't. And I learned that trying to win over people who've already checked out is a losing game. You don't need his validation to know your worth. You don't need his answers to move forward. You're not a puzzle to be solved. You're a mission to be launched. And the only person who needs to believe in that mission is you. Here's the kicker. The moment you stop letting his silence haunt you, you start haunting him. Not because you're trying to, but because you're no longer playing by his rules. When you stop chasing, you become unpredictable. When you stop explaining, you become powerful. When you stop needing him, you become free. I saw this with Tesla. When we stopped begging for investors and started delivering cars that blew everyone away, the silence turned into applause. You're going to do the same. You're going to build a life so extraordinary that his absence becomes a footnote, a distant memory of a man who couldn't keep up with your trajectory. So, why does his silence haunt you? Because it's unfamiliar, because it's uncomfortable, because it's forcing you to face yourself in a way you haven't before. But that discomfort, it's where growth happens. It's where rockets are built. It's where empires are born. I didn't get to where I am by running from the silence of doubt. I ran toward it. I used it. I let it push me to create something bigger than the critics, bigger than the failures, bigger than the noise. You're going to do the same. His silence isn't your prison, it's your launch pad. Step onto it, build something that makes the universe take notice. And when you do, you'll realize his silence was never about you. It was about a man who couldn't see the stars. But you're about to become one. You're hurting. I get it. That raw, gnawing ache in your chest when you wake up and realize he's gone. It's like a system failure in a mission you thought was locked in. It's not just the absence of him, it's the weight of what his leaving means. You gave him your time, your trust, your heart, and he walked away like it was nothing. That kind of pain can feel like it's tearing you apart, like a rocket exploding seconds after launch, leaving nothing but smoke and questions. But let me tell you something I've learned from crashing rockets and nearly losing everything. Pain isn't here to destroy you. It's not your enemy, it's your mentor. It's the engineer in the control room pointing out the flaws in your design, showing you where you need to reinforce, where you need to rethink, where you need to rebuild. This heartbreak, this betrayal, this moment that feels like it's breaking you, it's not the end of your mission. It's the data you need to build a better one, a stronger one, a you that's unbreakable. Let's talk about what pain really is. It's not just an emotion, it's a signal. When SpaceX's Falcon 1 blew up 3 times in a row, each explosion wasn't just a failure, it was a lesson. Every flame, every piece of debris, every second of telemetry data told me something I didn't know before. It hurt like hell, millions of dollars, years of work, the weight of my team's hopes, all gone in seconds. But I didn't run from it. I didn't numb it with distractions or pretend it didn't happen. I dove into it. I studied it. I let it teach me how to build a rocket that could withstand the forces of gravity and doubt. Your pain is doing the same thing right now. It's not just the sting of his absence, it's a warning light flashing on your dashboard, telling you something needs to change. Not in him, not in what you could have done differently, in you, in the way you see yourself, in the boundaries you set, in the life you're building. You're tempted to fight the pain, aren't you? To push it down, to scroll through your phone, to lose yourself in work or wine or whatever makes it go away for a while. I've seen people do that, try to outrun failure, to numb the sting of a setback. I could have done it too. When Tesla was hemorrhaging cash in 2008, when we were weeks away from bankruptcy, I could have walked away. I could have said, this is too hard, and gone back to a comfortable life. But that's not how you change the world. That's not how you build something that lasts. Pain isn't something you escape, it's something you harness. You don't get to Mars by avoiding the hard stuff. You don't become the woman you're meant to be by pretending this heartbreak didn't happen. You sit with it. You let it carve into you. You let it show you who you've been, who you don't want to be, and who you're capable of becoming. Here's what pain taught me. It's temporary, but its lessons are permanent. When those rockets crashed, the pain was excruciating, but it didn't define me. It refined me. It showed me where I'd been too soft, too trusting, too quick to assume the mission was on track. Your heartbreak is doing the same. Maybe you trusted him too much. Maybe you gave him access to parts of you that he didn't earn. Maybe you let his presence become the center of your universe, and now that he's gone, you feel like your orbit's collapsing. That's okay. That's data. It's telling you to rebuild your center, to make you the sun, not him. It's showing you that you're not fragile, you're adaptable, you're not weak, you're learning, you're not broken, you're being engineered for something greater. Let's get practical. How do you let pain be your mentor? First, stop resisting it. Don't try to distract yourself with endless Netflix or fake smiles. Don't rush to fill the void with someone new. Sit with it. Feel it. Let it hurt. Write it down if you have to. Every thought, every fear, every question. When I'm tackling a problem, whether it's a rocket or a neural interface, I break it down to first principles. I ask, what's the root of this? What's the truth? Do that with your pain. Ask yourself, why does this hurt so much? Is it because you loved him or because you loved the idea of him? Is it because he left or because you're afraid you're not enough without him? Be brutally honest. The answers aren't comfortable, but they're the blueprint for your next launch. Next, use the pain as fuel. When Tesla was on the brink, I didn't let the fear of failure stop me, I let it drive me. I worked 20-hour days, slept on the factory floor, poured every dollar I had into keeping the dream alive. You're going to do the same with this heartbreak. Take that energy, the anger, the sadness, the confusion, and channel it into something that makes you stronger. Sign up for that gym membership and show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Start that project you've been putting off, whether it's a business, a book, or a skill. Every time you want to cry over him, sweat instead. Every time you want to text him, create something instead. Turn the pain into progress. Make it the rocket fuel that propels you to a life you could never have imagined. Here's the big picture. Pain is the raw material of growth. Every great thing I've built, SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, came from moments of crushing failure. Every time I got knocked down, I didn't just get back up. I came back with a better design, a sharper focus, a fiercer resolve. That's what you're going to do. This heartbreak isn't the end of your story, it's the spark that ignites it. It's showing you what you're made of, what you're capable of when you stop letting someone else's choices define you. You're not here to be loved by him. You're here to build a life that's so bold, so brilliant, that it outshines every moment he ever doubted you. Let's talk about what this pain is teaching you. It's showing you your strength. You're still here, aren't you? You're still breathing, still standing, still listening to this. That's not weakness, that's power. It's teaching you your worth. You don't need his validation to know you're a force, a creator, a woman who can move mountains. It's teaching you your boundaries. Maybe you let him cross lines you shouldn't have. Maybe you gave him too much of your time, your energy, your heart. That's okay. That's data. Now you know where to draw the line next time. Now you know what you won't tolerate. Now you know that you're not here to be someone's option, you're here to be someone's inspiration. And here's the most important lesson. Pain is temporary, but the woman you're becoming is permanent. When I look back at those early SpaceX failures, I don't feel the sting anymore. I see the rockets we've launched since, hundreds of them, carrying satellites, astronauts, dreams. I see the missions that succeeded because we didn't let pain have the last word. You're going to look back on this moment the same way. This heartbreak, this man who left, like you didn't matter, he's not your story, he's a chapter. A painful one, sure, but one that's teaching you how to write the rest of the book. You're not going to let this pain define you. You're going to let it refine you. You're going to take every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, and turn it into the foundation of a life that's bigger than his absence, bigger than his silence, bigger than anything he could have given you. So embrace the pain. Let it be your mentor. Let it show you what you're made of. Because you're not just a woman who got left behind. You're a woman who's about to launch. You're a rocket built from the wreckage of failure, designed to break through the atmosphere of doubt and soar into the stars. This is your moment. Don't run from it. Use it. Build with it. And when you do, you'll realize that this pain wasn't here to break you. It was here to make you unstoppable. You're standing at a crossroads, staring at the void he left behind, and there's this itch, this overwhelming urge to reach out, to explain yourself, to make him see what he's missing. You want to send that one perfect message, craft that one devastating comeback, or maybe just ask why. You think if you could just get him to understand your worth, to see the love you gave, the loyalty you showed, maybe he'd realize what he lost. Maybe he'd come back. Stop right now. That urge to beg for his validation, to plead for his attention, to prove you're enough, it's a trap. It's like me trying to convince every skeptic who laughed at Tesla in 2008 that electric cars were the future. I didn't beg, I didn't explain. I built, I delivered. I let the results scream louder than any words could. You don't need his approval to know you're a force of nature. You don't need his apology to know you're worth more than his silence. You're not here to convince anyone you're enough. You're here to build a life so extraordinary that his absence becomes a blip, a minor glitch in a mission that's headed for the stars. Let's break this down like I'd break down a design flaw in a rocket. Every time you try to explain yourself to someone who's already checked out, you're handing them your power. You're turning your worth into a debate, as if it's something that needs defending. Imagine if I'd spent my days calling every investor who doubted SpaceX, begging them to see the vision, pleading for their faith. We'd still be grounded. No rockets in orbit, no astronauts on the ISS, no Starlink satellites beaming internet to the world. I didn't waste my energy chasing people who couldn't see the future. I focused on creating it. That's what you need to do now. His leaving wasn't a verdict on your value. It was a sign he couldn't handle the magnitude of who you are. Stop trying to shrink yourself to fit his limited vision. Stop trying to prove you're worth loving. You don't need his stamp of approval to know you're a masterpiece. Think about what you're doing when you chase his validation. You're telling him and yourself that your worth depends on his opinion. You're letting his silence, his absence, his choice to walk away define who you are. That's not just a mistake, it's a betrayal, not of him, but of you. I've seen this in my world. When Tesla was struggling, when we were burning through cash faster than a rocket burns fuel, there were people who wrote us off. They said electric cars were a fantasy, that I was a dreamer who'd crash and burn. I could have spent my life trying to change their minds, sending them emails, begging for meetings, proving I was right. But that's not how you win. You don't win by convincing skeptics, you win by outbuilding them. You don't prove your worth by chasing someone who left you, prove it by becoming someone they can't ignore. Here's the truth. You were enough the moment you were born. You were enough when you gave him your heart, your time, your dreams. You were enough when he walked away, and you're enough now. His inability to see that isn't your failure, it's his. I've had partners, investors, even friends who didn't see the vision for SpaceX or Tesla. They walked away, doubted, dismissed. Did I chase them? Did I beg them to believe in me? Number, I doubled down on the mission. I worked harder, thought deeper, built better. And when the rockets launched, when the cars rolled off the line, they didn't need convincing, they saw it. You're going to do the same. You're not going to waste another second trying to make him see your worth. You're going to show the world, starting with yourself. Let's get practical. How do you stop begging for validation? First, cut the cord. Delete that draft text you've been rewriting. Unfollow him. Stop checking his stories, his posts, his life. Every time you peek into his world, you're giving him power he doesn't deserve. It's like me obsessing over what the critics were saying instead of fixing the next rocket. Redirect that energy. Take the time you'd spend crafting that perfect message and use it to craft a better you. Sign up for a course that scares you, coding, public speaking, something that pushes your limits. Hit the gym and chase a deadlift PR instead of chasing his attention. Start that side hustle you've been dreaming about, even if it's just a few hours a week. Every step you take towards your own goals is a step away from needing his approval. Next, redefine what validation means. It doesn't come from him or anyone else. It comes from you, from the promises you keep to yourself, from the goals you crush, from the life you build. When I was fighting to keep Tesla alive, validation wasn't a pat on the back from an investor. It was seeing a Mo 1.0s roll off the production line. It was knowing ID kept going when everyone else gave up. Your validation isn't his text saying, I miss you. It's you looking in the mirror and knowing you're building something unstoppable. It's you setting a goal, running a 5K, launching a business, writing a book, and hitting it. Not for him, not for anyone, for you. Here's where it gets powerful. When you stop begging for validation, you start attracting it. People are drawn to those who know their worth, who don't need approval to shine. Think about it. When Tesla started delivering cars that outperformed every gas guzzler on the market, the skeptics didn't need convincing, they came running. When you stop chasing and when you stop trying to prove you're enough, you become magnetic. Not because you're playing games, but because you're living for yourself. You're building a life that's so bold, so vibrant that it pulls people in. And if he comes back, if he suddenly sees what he lost, it won't be because you begged him to. It'll be because you became someone he can't ignore, your woman who doesn't need his validation to know she's a force. Let's talk about the bigger mission. You're not here to be loved by one man. You're here to build a life that changes the game. I didn't start SpaceX to impress a few investors. I started it to get humanity to Mars. I didn't build Tesla to win over the auto industry. I built it to redefine transportation. You're not here to win him back. You're here to win yourself, to build a life that's so big, so audacious, that his absence is just a speck in the rearview mirror. Every time you're tempted to seek his approval, ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my mission? If it's not, let it go. Focus on what's next. Focus on what's yours. This is your moment to stop begging, stop explaining, stop proving. You're not a case to be argued, you're a mission to be launched. You're not a question mark, you're an exclamation point. His validation was never the goal. Your greatness is. So take all that energy you'd pour into chasing him and pour it into chasing your dreams. Build something so extraordinary that the world takes notice. Build a life that makes his absence irrelevant. And when you do, you'll realize you never needed his approval. You were always enough. You were always more than enough. You were always a star waiting to shine. You're caught in a storm, aren't you? His absence is like a hurricane tearing through your world, ripping up the roots of everything you thought was solid. You want to run after him, to demand answers, to make him feel the chaos he left behind. You think if you show him how much you care, how much you hurt, he'll see your worth and come back. But let me tell you something I've learned from building rockets and rewriting the rules of industries. Caring too much about someone who's already walked away is like pouring rocket fuel into a broken engine. It's not going anywhere, and it might just blow up in your face. The real power, the kind that shifts the orbit of your life, isn't in chasing him. It's in mastering controlled indifference. Not coldness, not bitterness, not pretending you don't care, but truly not needing him to define your worth. It's the kind of strength I found when I ignored the naysayers who said SpaceX would never get off the ground and focused on the mission instead. You're about to discover that when you stop orbiting his world, you become the sun in your own. Controlled indifference isn't about shutting down your heart, it's about redirecting its energy. When I started Tesla, the auto industry laughed. They called electric cars a pipe dream, said we'd never compete with gas-guzzling giants. I could have spent my days arguing, pleading, trying to make them see the future. Instead, I ignored them. I didn't hate them. I didn't fight them. I just didn't need them. I poured every ounce of my focus into building something that would outshine their doubt. That's what you're going to do with him. His silence, his absence, his choice to walk away, it's not your burden to carry. It's not your job to fix it, to explain it, to make it right. Your job is to focus on your mission, building a life so powerful, so unapologetically yours, that his presence or absence becomes irrelevant. Let's break this down. Right now, he's got you on a leash not because he's holding it, but because you're letting his actions control how you feel. Every time you check your phone, hoping for a text, every time you replay that last conversation, wondering what you could have done differently, you're giving him power he doesn't deserve. In dark psychology, this is how people manipulate without even trying. They pull back, go silent, and let you fill the void with your own doubts. I've seen this in business. When investors went cold on Tesla, when they stopped returning my calls, they expected me to panic, to chase, to beg for their support. I didn't. I built cars. I delivered results. I let my work do the talking. You're going to do the same. You're not going to chase his attention. You're going to command your own. Here's what controlled indifference looks like. It's not about being cold or cruel. It's about being disciplined. It's about choosing yourself over someone who chose to leave. Imagine if I'd spent my energy trying to win over every critic who doubted Neuralink or the Boring Company. I'd still be stuck in meetings, explaining why brain-computer interfaces or hyperloops matter. Instead, I focused on the work. I let the results speak. You're going to let your life speak. Stop reacting to his silence. Stop responding to his absence. Stop letting his choices dictate your emotions. When he doesn't call, don't call him. When he pulls away, don't pull him back. When he acts like you don't matter, don't prove you do, show yourself you do. That's the shift. That's the moment you stop being a satellite in his orbit and start being a star in your own galaxy. Let's get practical. How do you master controlled indifference? First, you set boundaries not just with him, but with yourself. No more late night scrolls through his social media. No more saving his number just in case. No more letting his absence hijack your thoughts. When I was fighting to keep SpaceX alive, I didn't have time to obsess over what the critics were saying. I was too busy building rockets. You're too busy building your future to obsess over him. Replace that urge to reach out with an action that moves you forward. Want to text him? Write a plan for your next big goal instead. Want to check if he's posted? Check your own progress, your workout streak, your savings, your dreams. Every time you choose yourself over him, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that you don't need his validation to shine. Next, focus on what you can control. I can't control what the auto industry says about Tesla. I can't control what NASA thinks about SpaceX, but I can control the quality of my work, the clarity of my vision, the intensity of my effort. You can't control why he left or whether he'll come back, but you can control how you respond. You can control the life you're building. You can control the woman you're becoming. Controlled indifference is about redirecting your energy from what's gone to what's possible. It's about saying his absence doesn't define me, actions do. It's about choosing to pour your heart into something that deserves it, you. Here's where it gets powerful. When you master controlled indifference, you become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're centered. You're no longer swayed by his whims, his silence, his choices. You're like a rocket that's broken free of Earth's gravity. Nothing can pull you back down. I saw this with Starlink. When the telecom giants ignored us, doubted us, I didn't chase their approval. I built a constellation of satellites that's now connecting the world. You're going to build a life that connects you to your own power. And when you do, something shifts. He'll notice, not because you tried to make him, but because people are drawn to those who don't need them. When you stop caring whether he sees you, he'll start looking. When you stop needing his attention, he'll start craving yours. That's not the goal, it's just the byproduct. The goal is you, free from his shadow, shining so brightly that the world can't look away. Let's talk about the bigger mission. You're not here to win his approval. You're not here to make him regret leaving. You're here to build something extraordinary in life, a legacy, a version of yourself that's so bold it changes the game. I didn't start SpaceX to prove the critics wrong. I started it to get humanity to Mars. I didn't build Tesla to silence the doubters. I built it to redefine what's possible. You're not here to chase him. You're here to chase your potential. Controlled indifference is your launch sequence. It's the moment you stop fueling his mission and start fueling your own. It's the moment you realize you don't need his light to shine, you are the light. So embrace this power. Let go of the need to be seen by him. Let go of the need to be understood. You're not here to be validated. You're here to be unstoppable. Every time you're tempted to chase his attention, choose your own instead. Build something that makes you proud. Create something that makes you unbreakable. And when you do, you'll realize his absence wasn't a loss, it was a liberation. You're not just a woman who got left behind. You're a woman who's about to take over the universe. Start now. Right now, you're standing in the aftermath of his departure, and every fiber of your being wants to run after him. You want to fix it, to bridge the gap, to warm up the coldness he left you with. His silence feels like a challenge, a puzzle you need to solve by reaching out, by showing him you're still here, still caring, still willing to make it work. But let me tell you something I've learned from building companies that rewrite the rules of industries. Chasing someone who's already walked away is like trying to launch a rocket with half the fuel. You're not going anywhere, and you're burning out what's left of you. The real move, the one that shifts the entire game, isn't to chase his actions, it's to mirror them. Not out of spite, not to play games, but to protect your own orbit. When he goes cold, you go colder. When he pulls away, you pull further. When he acts like you don't matter, you show yourself you do. This isn't about revenge, it's about respect. Respect for yourself, respect for your mission, respect for the woman you're becoming. I didn't outrun the auto giants by begging them to like Tesla, I outbuilt them. You're not going to win him back by chasing him. You're going to win yourself by matching his energy and then surpassing it. Let's think about this like a systems engineer. His action she's silence, his distance, his choice to leave air inputs, they're signals in the equation of your life. Right now, you're treating those signals like a command to react, to fix, to pursue. That's the default setting for most people. When someone pulls away, you pull them back. When they go cold, you try to warm them up. But that's a losing strategy. It's like me trying to convince the aerospace industry that SpaceX was worth betting on when they'd already written us off. Instead of begging, I mirrored their skepticism with action. They doubted us? Fine. I'd show them results. They ignored us? Cool. I'd build rockets that couldn't be ignored. You're going to do the same with him. He's giving you silence. Give him distance. He's giving you indifference. Give him focus in yourself. Mirror his energy, not to hurt him, but to protect you. To teach him that your presence isn't a given, it's a privilege. This is where it gets tactical. In dark psychology, mirroring is a powerful tool. It's not about mimicking someone's behavior to manipulate theme, it's about reflecting their actions to shift the dynamic. When he pulls away, he's expecting you to chase. He's counting on you to fill the void with your texts, your calls, your attempts to fix things. That's what gives him power, not because he's trying to control you, but because your reaction hands it to him. I saw this in the early days of Tesla. The big car makers didn't take us seriously. They expected us to beg for their approval, to play by their rules. Instead, we built the Roadster. We didn't chase their validation, we created something that forced them to rethink everything. You're going to force him to rethink everything too, not by begging, but by becoming a woman who doesn't need his presence to shine. Here's how you mirror his actions. If he's silent, don't break it with a text. If he's distant, don't close the gap with a call. If he's acting like you're not a priority, don't make him yours. This isn't about being petty, it's about being principled. It's about saying, if you don't value my energy, I'm not wasting it on you. When I faced competitors who ignored Tesla, I didn't knock on their doors, I built cars that outperformed theirs. When he ignores you, don't knock on his heart, build a life that outshines his absence. Start small, but deliberate. Delete his number, not to punish him, but to free yourself. Stop checking his social media, not to prove a point, but to reclaim your focus. When you feel the urge to reach out, redirect that energy into something that moves you forward, a workout, a project, a goal. Every time you mirror his distance with your own purpose, you're rewriting the rules of the game. Let's talk about why this works. When you chase someone who's pulling away, you're teaching them that their behavior has no consequences. You're saying, you can leave and I'll still be here waiting, wanting. That's not power, that's surrender. But when you mirror his actions, you flip the script. You're saying, if you choose distance, I choose it too. If you choose silence, I choose it louder. You're showing him that his choices have weight, that his absence isn't a free pass to keep you on a leash. I learned this with SpaceX. When NASA doubted us, I didn't beg for contracts. I built rockets that could deliver their payloads better than anyone else. When he doubts you, don't beg for his love, build a life that proves you don't need it. Here's the deeper truth. Mirroring his actions isn't about him, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your energy, your focus, your power. Every time you choose to match his distance with your own purpose, you're investing in yourself. You're building a foundation that no one can shake. Think about it like this. When I started the Boring Company, people laughed. They said digging tunnels for Hyperloops was crazy. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just dug. I let the results speak. You're going to let your life speak. Every step you take toward your own goals, whether it's running a 5K, starting a business, or mastering a new skill, is a step away from needing him. It's a step toward a version of you that's so strong, so focused, so unstoppable that his absence becomes just a footnote. Let's get practical. Start by setting one rule. His energy sets the tone, but you control the response. If he's not reaching out, you don't either. If he's not prioritizing you, you prioritize yourself. Make a list of 3 things you've been putting off because you've been too focused on HEMA workout routine, a career move, a passion project. Commit to one of them today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. When I was fighting to keep Tesla alive, I didn't wait for the perfect moment to act. I worked through the chaos, through the doubt, through the exhaustion. You're going to do the same. Every time you're tempted to chase him, chase your own potential instead. Replace "I miss him" with "I'm building me." Replace "Why did he leave" with "What am I creating?" Here's the big picture. Mirroring his actions is your first step toward freedom. It's not about winning him back, it's about winning yourself. It's about showing the world and him that you're not defined by who leaves you, but by what you build in their absence. I didn't build SpaceX to prove the skeptics wrong, I built it to get to Mars. You're not building your life to prove him wrong, you're building it to get to your stars. When you mirror his distance with your own purpose, you're not just surviving his absence, you're surpassing it. You're becoming a woman who doesn't need his gravity to stay grounded. You're becoming a force, a creator, a mission in motion. So, stop chasing, start mirroring. Let his silence be met with your focus. Let his distance be met with your drive. Let his absence be met with your ascent. You're not here to beg for his attention, you're here to command your own. You're not here to fix what he broke, you're here to build what he can't imagine. And when you do, you'll realize his leaving wasn't a loss, it was a launch. You're not just a woman who got left behind. You're a woman who's about to redefine the universe. Start now. His departure left a crater in your world, didn't it? A gaping hole where his presence used to be, where your plans together, your shared dreams, your late night talks once lived. It's tempting to sit in that crater, to mourn what was, to wait for him to come back and fill it. But let me tell you something I learned when Tesla was on the brink of collapse, when SpaceX's early rockets were exploding, when the world thought I'd lost it all. A crater isn't a grave, it's a construction site. His absence isn't your end, it's your opportunity. It's the empty space where you get to build something extraordinary, something unshakable, something so undeniably yours that his leaving becomes just a footnote in the epic story of your rise. I didn't rebuild my companies by crying over failures. I rebuilt them by turning pain into progress. You're not going to rebuild your life by chasing him. You're going to build an empire so vast, so vibrant, that his absence is just a speck in the distance. Let's think about this like an engineer designing a rocket. His leaving gave you something priceless: space. Not just emotional space, but mental space, physical space, time. Space to rethink, to reimagine, to reconstruct. When Tesla was bleeding cash in 2008, when we were weeks away from bankruptcy, I didn't have the luxury of wallowing. I had to use every second, every dollar, every ounce of energy to build something that could outlast the crisis. You're in that moment now. His absence is your blank canvas, your open launchpad, your chance to create a life that doesn't just survive his departure, but thrives because of it. This isn't about proving him wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about building an empire that's so strong, so bold, that no one's absence can shake its foundations. What does your empire look like? It's not just a metaphor, it's a mission. It's the life you've always wanted, but maybe put on hold for him. Maybe it's the career you've been too scared to chase, the business you've been dreaming of starting, the body you've been wanting to sculpt. Maybe it's the confidence you've buried, the creativity you've suppressed, the voice you've silenced to make him comfortable. When I started SpaceX, people called it a fantasy. They said private rockets couldn't compete with NASA, but I didn't build SpaceX to compete, I built it to change the game. You're not building your empire to compete with his memory, you're building it to change your own trajectory, to take you to places he couldn't even dream of. Here's how you start. Take the energy you've been pouring into him, into wondering why he left, into hoping he'll come back, into replaying what went wrong and redirect it. Channel it into something that makes you stronger, smarter, fiercer. When I was fighting to keep Tesla alive, I didn't have time to dwell on the investors who bailed or the critics who laughed. I was too busy sleeping on the factory floor, tweaking designs, pushing my team to deliver. You're going to do the same. Start small, but start now. Sign up for that gym membership and show up, even if it's just to walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes. Register for that online course coding, writing, marketing, whatever lights you up. Write down one goal you've been too afraid to chase and take the first step today, not tomorrow, today. Every action you take is a brick in your empire, a step toward a life that's bigger than his absence. Let's talk about why this matters. Building your empire isn't just about filling the void he left, it's about creating a life where no one's absence can derail you. When I started Starlink, the goal wasn't just to connect a few people to the internet, it was to connect the entire planet, to build a system so robust that it could withstand any failure. Your empire is the same. It's not just about getting over him, it's about building a life so full, so purposeful, that no one's departure can knock you off course. It's about creating a foundational, mental, physical, that's so strong it can weather any storm. That's what I did with SpaceX. Every failure, every explosion, every doubter made me build smarter, tougher, better. His leaving is your explosion. Use it to build smarter, tougher, better. Here's where it gets practical. Make a plan, not a vague, I'll be better plan, but a concrete, measurable one. When I'm tackling a problem, I break it down to first principles. What's the goal? What's the obstacle? What's the next step? Do that now. Want to get in shape? Commit to 3 workouts a week, even if it's just a 30-minute walk. Want to advance your career? Spend 1 hour a day learning a new skill, watch a tutorial, read a book, take a course. Want to feel confident again? Write down 3 things you love about yourself every morning and read them out loud. These aren't just tasks, they're investments in your empire. They're the steel beams, the rocket thrusters, the foundation of a life that's yours and yours alone. Let's talk about the bigger picture. Your empire isn't just about you, it's about the impact you're going to have. When I started Tesla, it wasn't just about building cars, it was about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. When you build your empire, you're not just healing from heartbreak, you're inspiring others. You're showing the women around you, the ones watching you, that you don't need someone else to complete you. You're showing them that pain is a starting point, not a stopping point. You're showing them that a woman who builds her own empire is unstoppable, undeniable, unshakable. And when you do that, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the world. Here's the truth. His absence is a gift. It's the space you needed to become the woman you were always meant to be. I didn't get to Mars by clinging to failed rockets. I got there by building new ones. You're not going to get to your stars by clinging to a man who walked away. You're going to get there by building a life that outshines his absence. Every step you take, every goal you crush, every dream you chase is a declaration. You are enough. You are more than enough. You are an empire in the making. And when you're standing at the top of that empire, stronger, wiser, fiercer than ever, you'll look back at his departure and realize it wasn't a loss, it was a launch. So start building. Stop waiting for him to fill the void. Stop hoping for closure. Stop looking for answers in his silence. The only answers you need are the ones you create. Pick up the tools, your strength, your passion, your resolve, and start constructing. Build a life that's so big, so bold, that his absence is just a shadow in the corner of your empire. You're not here to mourn what was, you're here to create what will be. You're not a woman who got left behind. You're a woman who's about to conquer the universe. Get to work. You're staring at your phone, aren't you? That little device, glowing with temptation, whispering that one text, one call, one quick peek at his life could ease the ache. You're thinking, maybe if I just check in, say something casual, see if he's okay, I'll get some clarity. Maybe you're hoping for a reply that makes sense of his silence, something to stitch up the wound he left. But let me tell you something I learned when I was fighting to keep my companies alive through the darkest days. Reaching out to someone who's already walked away is like trying to restart a rocket engine that's already burned out. It's not going to ignite, and you're just wasting fuel. The real power, the kind that sets you free, comes from one simple, radical choice. No contact. It's not a tactic. It's not a game. It's your declaration of independence, your moment to say, I don't need you to define me. I didn't save Tesla by begging investors for second chances. I saved it by focusing on what I could control. You're not going to reclaim your life by chasing his response. You're going to reclaim it by choosing silence, discipline, and yourself. No contact isn't just about not texting him. It's about taking back your power. It's about refusing to let his absence pull you back into his orbit. When SpaceX was on the verge of collapse, when our first 3 launches failed, I could have spent my days calling every critic, every investor who'd gone silent, pleading for their support. I could have sent emails explaining why they should believe in me, why they should give me another shot. But that's not how you build something that changes the world. You don't beg for permission to exist. You claim it. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, you're claiming your right to a life that's bigger than his shadow. You're saying, my worth doesn't depend on your reply. You're building a rocket that doesn't need his fuel to fly. Let's break this down like a mission plan. His silence, his absence, his choice to walk away, it's a signal, not a command. Right now, you're treating it like a call to action, a reason to reach out, to fix, to understand. But in dark psychology, that urge to reconnect is a trap. It's what keeps you tethered to someone who's already let go. I've seen this in my world. When Tesla was struggling, some partners bailed without a word. They didn't explain, didn't negotiate, they just vanished. My instinct was to chase them, to make them see the vision. But I learned something critical. Chasing someone who's already gone only confirms their power over you. It says, you still matter more than I do. No contact flips that script. It says, I matter more. My peace, my focus, my future, they're mine, and you don't get to touch them. Here's how you make no contact your superpower. First, cut the lines. Delete his number not to be dramatic, but to be disciplined. Block him on social media not to punish him, but to protect your focus. Stop checking his stories, his posts, his life. Every time you peek, you're giving him space in your mind, and that space is too valuable for someone who walked away. I didn't save SpaceX by obsessing over what NASA thought of USI, saved it by obsessing over the next launch. You're going to save yourself by obsessing over your next step. When the urge to reach out hits, redirect it. Open a notebook and write down a goal instead. Lace up your sneakers and go for a run. Open your laptop and start that project you've been putting off. Every time you choose no contact, you're choosing yourself. You're choosing a mission that's bigger than his absence. Let's talk about why this is so hard. Reaching out feels like control, doesn't it? Like if you could just get a response, you'd have some power over the situation. I felt that when Tesla was on the brink. I wanted to call every investor, every skeptic, and make them see we weren't done. But control doesn't come from chasing, it comes from discipline. It comes from saying, I don't need your response to move forward. No contact is your discipline. It's your refusal to let his silence dictate your story. It's your commitment to a life that doesn't hinge on his approval. When I stopped chasing the doubters and started building, Tesla went from a failing startup to a company that redefined an industry. When you stop chasing him and start building, you're going to redefine yourself. Here's the practical side. Make no contact, a non-negotiable rule, like a flight plan you don't deviate from. Set a timer if you have to, 30 days, 60 days, whatever feels like a challenge but not a lifetime. Tell yourself, for this time, I'm not reaching out, I'm not checking, I'm not engaging, and then fill that time with action. Sign up for a 5K and train for it, even if you're starting from zero. Start a side hustle, sell something, write something, create something. Spend 30 minutes a day learning a skill that makes you feel unstoppable, like coding or public speaking. Every time you resist the urge to contact him, you're not just avoiding a text, you're building momentum. You're turning a moment of weakness into a moment of strength. Here's where it gets powerful. No contact isn't just about him, it's about rewiring your brain. Every day you don't reach out, you're teaching yourself that you don't need him to feel whole. You're breaking the cycle of dependence, the one that says his response equals your worth. I learned this with Neuralink. The skeptics said connecting brains to computers was science fiction. I didn't argue with them, I built the tech. You're not going to argue with his silence, you're going to build your life. And when you do, something shifts. His absence stops feeling like a void and starts feeling like freedom. You stop wondering what he's doing and start celebrating what you're creating. Let's talk about the bigger mission. No contact isn't about punishing him, it's about liberating you. It's about creating space for your own dreams, your own goals, your own empire. I didn't build Starlink to prove the telecom giants wrong. I built it to connect the world. You're not choosing no contact to prove him wrong. You're choosing it to prove yourself right. To prove that you can stand tall without his validation. To prove that you can build a life that's so full, so vibrant, that his absence is just a whisper in the wind. Every day you stick to no contact, you're declaring your independence. You're saying, I am my own mission. I am my own light. So put the phone down, close the app, step away from the temptation. You're not here to chase a man who walked away. You're here to chase a future that's yours. No contact is your first step toward that future. It's your refusal to let his silence define you. It's your commitment to a life that's bigger than his absence, bolder than his doubts, brighter than his shadow. You're not a woman waiting for a text. You're a woman launching a revolution. Start now. He walked away, didn't he? Left you with nothing but silence, a half-finished story, and a heart full of questions. It's tempting to ease that silence, to reach out, to soften the blow for him, to make his choice less heavy by checking in or offering closure. You might think being the bigger person means opening the door just a crack, giving him a chance to explain, to apologize, to make it right. But let me tell you something I learned when I was clawing my way through the wreckage of early failures. You don't save a mission by bailing out the people who abandoned it. When investors pulled out of Tesla, when critics turned their backs on SpaceX, I didn't chase them with explanations or second chances. I let them face their choices. I let them live with the consequences of doubting me. You're not here to make his leaving easier. You're here to make your rising unstoppable. Let him carry the weight of his decision. Let him feel the void where your light used to be. Because when you stop softening his regret, you start sharpening your future. Let's approach this like a systems problem. His choice to leave wasn't a mistake, it was a decision, a deliberate act, whether he planned it or not. He chose silence over explanation, distance over connection, absence over you. That's not your burden to fix, it's his to bear. When I started SpaceX, plenty of people walked away. Partners, investors, even friends. They didn't believe we could compete with the aerospace giants. They didn't owe me their faith, and I didn't owe them my energy. I let them live with their doubt while I focused on building rockets that would prove them wrong. You're going to do the same. His decision to leave is his to own. Your job isn't to make him feel better about it, it's to make yourself better because of it. Don't lift his burden, don't ease his guilt. Let him sit with the consequences of losing you. Here's why this matters. Every time you reach out, every time you try to check in or offer him a way back, you're telling him his choice was okay. You're saying, you can leave me, hurt me, walk away without a word, and I'll still be here waiting, ready to make it easy for you. That's not strength, it's surrender. It's like me begging investors who bailed on Tesla to come back, promising to make it easier for them to believe in me. I didn't do that. I let them miss the rocket ship literally. When Tesla started delivering cars that outran every gas guzzler on the market, those same investors didn't need convincing, they came crawling back. You're not going to beg him to see your worth. You're going to let him feel the weight of losing it. And that weight, it's the only thing that might make him rethink what he threw away. Let's get tactical. How do you let him face his choice? First, stop cushioning his exit. No text to see if he's okay. No calls to clear the air. No social media likes or comments to keep the connection alive. Every time you reach out, you're giving him a safety net, a reason to believe his leaving didn't cost him anything. When I faced doubters at SpaceX, I didn't send them updates or plead for their support. I let them watch from the sidelines as we launched satellites, docked with the ISS, and changed the game. You're going to let him watch from the sidelines. As you change your game, delete his contact, block his number, not out of anger, but out of commitment to yourself. Every time you're tempted to reach out, redirect that energy into something that builds you up. Take a walk and plan your next career move. Journal about your dreams, not your doubts. Sign up for a class that scares you, public speaking, coding, something that pushes your limits. Let his absence be the space where you grow, not where you shrink. Here's the psychology behind it. In dark psychology, people only value what they have to earn. When you make it easy for him to leave, when you check in, offer closure, or stay available, you're telling him your presence is free. But when you let him face his choice, when you let him feel the emptiness where your energy used to be, you create scarcity. You make him realize what he lost wasn't just a moment, it was a woman who was one of a kind. I saw this with the Boring Company. When people laughed at the idea of hyperloops and tunnels, I didn't argue, I dug. I let the results speak. You're going to let your life speak. When you stop making his leaving easy, he starts feeling its cost. Not because you're trying to hurt him, but because you're too busy building something extraordinary to care. Let's talk about the bigger mission. Letting him face his choice isn't about punishment, it's about liberation. It's about freeing yourself from the need to fix what he broke. You're not here to be his safety net, his fallback, his maybe later. You're here to be your own hero, your own architect, your own rocket scientist. When I started Neuralink, the world called it crazy. I didn't waste time convincing them I built the tech. You're not going to waste time convincing him you're worth keeping. You're going to build a life that proves it. Every day you let him carry his choice, you're taking another step toward a future that's yours. A future where his absence is just a distant memory, a minor glitch in a system that's now running at full power. Here's the practical side. Make a commitment to yourself. No contact, no exceptions. Set a timeline, 30 days, 60 days, whatever feels like a challenge, but not forever. During that time, focus on one thing you've always wanted to do, but put off for 'em. Maybe it's running a 5K start with a mile, even if it's slow. Maybe it's starting a side hustle, sell something, write something, create something. Maybe it's rediscovering your confidence stand in front of a mirror and list 3 things you love about yourself every day. These aren't just tasks, they're declarations. They're you saying, I'm not here to fix his mistakes, I'm here to build my masterpiece. Here's the truth. Letting him face his choice is your freedom. It's your refusal to carry the weight of his decision. It's your commitment to a life that's bigger than his absence, bolder than his doubts, brighter than his shadow. When you let him feel the void, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're showing him and the world that you're not a woman who waits for someone to come back. You're a woman who moves forward, who builds empires, who launches rockets. You're not here to ease his regret. You're here to ignite your own revolution. Start now. The moment I'm talking about, it's weeks, maybe months down the line, and your phone lights up with a message you didn't expect. Hey, how have you been? Or maybe it's a call, I've been thinking about you, or even a subtle like on one of your posts. It's him. The man who walked away like you didn't matter, suddenly creeping back into your orbit, acting like he never left. Your heart skips a beat, doesn't it? Part of you wants to reply, to engage, to see if this is the redemption you've been secretly hoping for. But let me tell you something I learned when I pushed through the darkest days of my companies. When the doubters come back, when the skeptics who abandoned you start circling again, it's not because they've changed, it's because you have. When I turned Tesla from a failing startup into a game changer, the investors who bailed didn't come back because they suddenly believed in electric cars. They came back because I made it undeniable. When he returns, it won't be because he sees your worth. It'll be because you become a woman he can't ignore. And by then, you'll be so far gone, so far into your own mission, that his return will just be a blip on your radar. Let's approach this like a mission debrief. His return isn't a victory, it's a test. It's the universe checking whether you've really learned the lesson, whether you've built a life that's stronger than his pull. When SpaceX's early rockets failed and the critics wrote us off, I didn't stop to celebrate when they started paying attention again after our first successful launch. I kept building, I kept pushing, because the mission wasn't about proving them wrong, it was about getting to Mars. Your mission isn't about proving him wrong, it's about getting to your stars. His text, his call, his sudden interest isn't a sign you've won him back, it's a sign you've won yourself. You've become someone new, someone who's outgrown the woman he left behind. And that's why you don't respond. Not out of pride, not out of bitterness, but because you're too busy launching your own rocket to care about his orbit. Here's the psychology behind it. In dark psychology, people chase what they can't predict, what they can't control. When he left, he expected you to chase, to crumble, to stay stuck in his shadow, but you didn't. You moved forward. You built something, maybe a stronger body, a sharper mind, a bolder career. You became a woman who doesn't need his gravity to stay grounded. That's what pulls him back, not your tears, but your transformation. I saw this with Tesla. When we were on the brink of bankruptcy, the skeptics walked away. But when we delivered the Mo 1 Do S, when we showed the world what electric cars could do, they didn't just come back, they begged to invest. When he comes back, it's because you've delivered something undeniable, a version of yourself that's light years ahead of the woman he knew. But here's the key. You don't stop for him. Uh, you don't slow down. You keep going. Let's get practical. When that text comes, when that call lights up your phone, you're going to feel the pull. It's human. It's tempting to think, maybe he's changed. Maybe this is my chance. But ask yourself this, what's changed about him? A text isn't an apology. A how are you isn't a commitment. It's just a probe, a test to see if you're still available, still orbiting his world. I faced this with SpaceX. When we started landing contracts with NASA, the same people who doubted us suddenly wanted to partner. I didn't drop everything to welcome them back. I stayed focused on the mission. You're going to do the same. Don't respond. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're hard at work. You're building a life that's too big for his interruptions. Delete the message, ignore the call, keep moving forward. Here's how you stay gone. Keep investing in yourself. If you've started running, don't just aim for a 5 sign up for a 10K. If you've launched a side hustle, don't just make a sale, build a brand. If you've been rediscovering your confidence, don't just feel good for a day, make it a lifestyle. Every step you take away from him is a step toward a version of you that's untouchable. When I was building Starlink, I didn't pause to celebrate every satellite we launched. I kept my eyes on the constellation, on the bigger goal of connecting the world. Your constellation is your life, your dreams, your empire. His return is just a single satellite passing by. Don't let it distract you from the bigger picture. Let's talk about why this feels so powerful. When you don't respond, when you let his return fade into the background, you're rewriting the story. You're no longer the woman he left, you're the woman he can't reach. You're not just an ex, you're a legend. I saw this with Neuralink. The skeptics called it science fiction, but when we started showing results, they didn't just change their minds, they changed their respect. When you keep moving forward, when you let his return be a footnote instead of a chapter, you're showing him and yourself that you've outgrown his gravity. You're not waiting for his apology, his explanation, his approval. You're too busy building a life that speaks for itself. Here's the bigger mission. His return isn't about him, it's about you. It's a reminder of how far you've come, how much you've grown, how much stronger you are than the woman he walked away from. When I look back at the early days of Tesla, when we were scraping by, I don't feel anger toward the investors who bailed. I feel gratitude. Their doubt pushed me to build something better. His leaving pushed you to become someone better. You're not here to win him back. You're here to win your future. You're not here to make him regret. You're here to make yourself unstoppable. Every day you keep moving, every goal you crush, every dream you chase, you're proving that his absence didn't break you, it launched you. So when he returns, let him find an empty orbit. Let him find a woman who's already gone, not because she's hiding, but because she's soaring. You're not here to answer his texts. You're here to answer your own calling. You're not here to reopen old chapters. You're here to write new ones. You're not a woman waiting for him to come back. You're a woman who's already light years ahead. Keep going, keep building, keep launching. And when he looks for you, he'll find nothing but the trail of a rocket that's already broken free of his gravity. You're not just gone, you're a star, and the universe is waiting. His absence left a void, didn't it? A quiet so heavy it feels like the air has been sucked out of your world. You're tempted to fill that void, to reach out, to make your presence felt, to prove you still exist in his universe. But let me tell you something I learned when I walked away from projects that no longer serve the mission. Disappearing isn't about running away, it's about rising above. It's about stepping out of someone else's orbit and into your own. When I shut down ideas that didn't align with SpaceX's goal of colonizing Mars, or when I pivoted Tesla to focus on what really mattered, I wasn't retreating, I was ascending. You're not going to chase him to prove you matter. You're going to disappear like a queen, gracefully, powerfully, with a purpose so fierce it redefines the game. His leaving wasn't your defeat, it was your invitation to leave behind anything that doesn't serve your empire. You're not here to linger in his shadow, you're here to cast your own light so bright it eclipses his memory. Disappearing like a queen doesn't mean hiding. It's not about sulking or playing hard to get. It's about removing your energy from spaces that no longer deserve it. When I started the Boring Company, the world laughed tunnels for hyperloops. Crazy, they said. I didn't argue. I didn't stick around to convince them. I walked away from their skepticism and started digging. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to stick around waiting for him to notice you, to regret you, to come back. You're going to walk away from his world and start building yours. You're going to disappear from his radar not out of weakness, but out of strength. Because a queen doesn't beg for a seat at someone else's table, she builds her own throne. Let's break this down like a launch sequence. His departure was a signal, a data point, a clear message that his world isn't where you belong. Your instinct is to stay visible, to keep the connection alive, to make sure he knows you're still here. But that's like me trying to keep a failing rocket design alive just because I'd invested in it. Sometimes you have to let go of what's not working to make room for what will. Disappearing like a queen means letting go of his world, his attention, his validation, his presence, and stepping into your own. It means no more text to check in, no more post to catch his eye, no more energy spent orbiting someone who chose to leave. It's a clean break, a deliberate choice to redirect your fuel to a mission that's yours. Here's how you do it. First, clear the runway. Cut all ties not to punish him, but to free yourself. Delete his contact, unfollow him, remove the reminders that pull you back into his gravity. This isn't about erasing him, it's about reclaiming you. When I pivoted Tesla from niche sports cars to mass market vehicles, I didn't cling to the old plan. I let it go to make room for something bigger. You're letting go of his world to make room for yours. Next, fill that space with action. Take the energy you'd spend thinking about him and pour it into something that lights you up. Start that workout plane aim for a mile a day. Then two, launch that project you've been dreaming about, a blog, a business, a passion. Spend 30 minutes every morning writing down your vision for the next year, the next 5 years, the next decade. Every step you take is a step away from his shadow and toward your crown. Let's talk about why this works. In dark psychology, absence is power. When you disappear, you create a void in his world, just as he did in yours. But this isn't about revenge, it's about redefinition. When you stop showing up in his life, you stop being predictable. You stop being the woman he thought he could leave without consequence. I saw this with Starlink. When the telecom giants ignored us, I didn't chase their approval. I built a network of satellites that forced them to pay attention. When you disappear like a queen, you're not just leaving his world, you're building one that's so vibrant, so undeniable, that it shifts the dynamic. He'll notice not because you tried to make him, but because your absence is louder than any words you could say. Here's the practical side. Make disappearing a discipline, not a reaction. Set a rule: no contact, no engagement, no presence in his world. Commit to it for 30 days, then 60. Use that time to build something tangible. If you've always wanted to get stronger, start lifting weights, same for a 50-pound deadlift, then 100. If you've got a creative spark, write a short story, paint a canvas, start a YouTube channel. If you want to grow your career, spend an hour a day learning a skill: marketing, coding, negotiation. Every action you take is a brick in your castle, a thruster on your rocket, and every day you stick to your disappearance, you're proving to yourself that you don't need his world to shine, you're creating your own. Let's talk about the bigger mission. Disappearing like a queen is about more than just him. It's about you claiming your sovereignty. You're not here to be a supporting character in his story, you're the protagonist in yours. When I started Neuralink, I didn't care that the world called it sci-fi nonsense. I walked away from their doubts and built something that's changing the future of humanity. You're walking away from his doubts to build something that's changing the future of you. You're not here to be missed, you're here to be unforgettable. Not to him, but to yourself, to the woman you're becoming, to the world that's watching you rise. Here's the truth. Disappearing like a queen is your power move. It's your refusal to linger in spaces where you're not valued. It's your commitment to a life that's bigger than his absence, bolder than his silence, brighter than his shadow. When you walk away, not with anger, but with grace, you're not just leaving him behind. You're stepping into your own kingdom. You're building a life that's so full, so fierce, that his departure becomes just a moment, not a monument. You're not a woman who fades, you're a woman who ascends. So disappear like a queen. Step out of his world and into your own. Build something that makes the universe take notice. And when you do, you'll realize his leaving wasn't a loss, it was your coronation. Start now. You're standing at the edge of a new frontier, staring into the vast unknown that his departure carved out. It's tempting to see this moment as the end of story cut short, a dream shattered, a heart left in pieces. But let me tell you something I've learned from pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The end of one mission is always the launch pad for another. When he walked away, he didn't just leave a void, he handed you the keys to your greatest mission yet. You, not the version of you that loved him, waited for him, or hoped for him to see your worth. The version of you that's bold enough to redefine what's possible, fierce enough to build a life that outshines his absence, and unstoppable enough to change the world. I didn't get to Mars by morning failed rockets. I got there by making every failure a step towards something greater. You're not going to become the woman you're meant to be by mourning his loss. You're going to become her by making yourself your greatest mission. This is your moment to stop chasing his stars and start building your own galaxy. Let's think about this like a rocket scientist planning a launch. His absence is your clean slate, your chance to design a mission that's entirely yours. When Tesla was on the verge of collapse, when every investor, critic, and analyst said we were done, I didn't see it as the end. I saw it as a chance to rebuild from the ground up, to create something that wasn't just better, but revolutionary. You're at that same inflection point. His leaving wasn't a verdict, it was an opportunity to stop defining yourself by who loves you and start defining yourself by what you create. Your mission isn't to win him back, to prove him wrong, or to fill the void he left. Your mission is to become the woman who doesn't need anyone else to shine, who doesn't need validation to soar, who doesn't need permission to conquer. You are your own destination, your own frontier, your own Mars. What does it mean to make yourself your greatest mission? It means treating your life like a project worth betting everything on. When I started SpaceX, I didn't just want to launch rockets, I wanted to make humanity multiplanetary. That's the kind of ambition I'm talking about. Not small, safe goals, but big, audacious ones. Maybe it's launching a business that changes an industry. Maybe it's running a marathon when you've never run a mile. Maybe it's writing a book, mastering a skill, or simply becoming a woman who walks into every room with unshakable confidence. Whatever it is, it's yours. It's not about him or what he thought or what he took. It's about what you're going to build a life so bold, so vibrant that his absence becomes just a speck in the vast universe of your potential. Here's how you start. First, define your mission. When I'm designing a rocket, I don't start with the details, I start with the goal. What's your goal? Not for the next week, but for the next decade. Who do you want to be? What do you want to create? Write it down, be specific. If it's a career, name the role: CEO, artist, engineer. If it's a physical goal, set the target to run 26.2 miles, lift 200 pounds, climb a mountain. If it's emotional, claim unshakable confidence, radiant joy, fearless authenticity. This is your North Star, your Mars. Every decision, every action, every moment from now on is about getting closer to that goal. When I was fighting to keep Tesla alive, I didn't just aim to survive, I aimed to redefine transportation. You're not just aiming to get over him, you're aiming to redefine you. Next, break it down. Big missions don't happen overnight. They're built one step, one launch, one victory at a time. When we were developing Starlink, we didn't launch 60,000 satellites in a day. We started with one, then 60, then hundreds. Start with one step today. Sign up for that 5K and walk the first mile. Register for that online course, coding, writing, whatever sparks your fire. Spend 15 minutes every morning journaling about the woman you're becoming, not the one he left behind. Every small action is a thruster firing, pushing you closer to your destination. And every time you take that step, you're proving to yourself that you don't need his orbit. You're creating your own. Let's talk about why this feels so hard. Making yourself your greatest mission means letting go of the old story, the one where he was the center, where his love, his attention, his presence defined your worth. It's scary to rewrite that story, to make yourself the protagonist instead of the supporting character. I felt that fear when I bet everything on SpaceX. If it failed, I'd lose everything: my money, my reputation, my dreams. But I knew the alternative was worse: living a life that wasn't mine. You're facing that same choice. You can cling to the old story, the one where his leaving defines you, or you can write a new one where you define yourself, where you're the hero, the architect, the astronaut of your own life. Here's the power of this mission. When you make yourself your greatest project, you become unstoppable, not because you're perfect, but because you're committed. When I started Neuralink, the world called it crazy connecting brains to computers. Impossible, they said. But I didn't care about their doubts. I cared about the mission. You don't need to care about his doubts, his silence, his absence. You need to care about your mission. Every goal you set, every step you take, every dream you chase makes you stronger, brighter, fiercer, and the more you invest in yourself, the less his absence matters. It becomes a distant star, barely visible in the galaxy you're building. Let's get practical. Start today. Pick one goal that scares you, something big, something that makes your heart race. Write it down. Break it into 3 steps you can take this week. If it's fitness, commit to 3 workouts, 30 minutes each, even if it's just walking. If it's a career move, spend an hour researching the skills you need or networking with someone who's where you want to be. If it's personal growth, stand in front of a mirror and say 3 things you love about yourself every day. Track your progress like I track a rocket's trajectory: every mile, every lesson, every win counts. And when you falter, when you miss him, when you doubt yourself, come back to your mission. Remind yourself, you're not here to be loved by him, you're here to be legendary. Here's the truth. You are your greatest mission. Not him, not his approval, not his return. You. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night, every moment you